What's up, everybody? It's your girl Nia, the video gamer, and I wanted to do a quick mini cast with my homies Fragmented Gaming,
Hello?
Nintendo Ultra.
Uh, Hello?
That's why my mind got messed up in the first place. Stupid Ultra and Nintendo God 773,
Fuck all you niggas.
PW Sax 2011,
Was good.
and everybody's favorite White Knight for Nintendo, Shokio. Today we're gonna be talking about the situation with Nintendo and the Wii U and how current Nintendo compares to the Nintendo of the past now that Iwata is president. So basically what I want to talk about first is basically compare how Nintendo was before Iwata with Yamauchi and how it is currently with the Iwata. Which one is better? Because I hear a lot of people saying all these things about Iwata, talking about they want him to step down because of the situation with the Wii, how a lot of people didn't agree with the direction that the Wii took, and a lot of people are saying that they are foreseeing the same thing with the Wii U. And basically, the first thing I think that we should start talking about is hardware. So, in terms of hardware, based on what we have seen so far, what do you guys think is better, or what direction do you think that is better with their hardware
What's
Hmm.
better with the hardware?
compared to what Iwata has done with hardware to what Yamauchi did with hardware?
Well,
Well, for
essentially,
you graphics wise.
yeah, basically it's been the same thing, like build wise, like the actual physicality of the system. Like, it's always been sturdy, reliable hardware. But, obviously since Iwata has taken over, they went more on the, like low spec side and,
Right.
whatnot things, as opposed to Yamauchi, who was all about that power. And while a lot of people will be like, well, yeah, that's one of the reasons why Iwata sucks, at the same time, those since Iwata took over, they've had their most successful consoles ever. So
That's true, but I don't want to get into that yet. I guess that what I want to say kind of has to go with the whole third party thing. So I'll just save that for later. Anybody else have anything else to say?
See, what I'm kind of in agreement with what Shokyo said, but I'm gonna bring up the third party situation. When Yamauchi was in control of Nintendo for the better part of the first like what 20 to 15 to 20 years, he didn't have to deal with every like third parties leaving in droves because they were basically the only game in town. It
That's
was
true.
so he didn't have that problem. By the time the you could say between what the SNES and the Nintendo 64, that's when they all left, and that's when basically when he was gone.
Right.
So he didn't have to deal with the same problems that his son-in-law or Iwata had to deal with.
Right. Well, I guess since a lot of these things are intertwined, we could probably just go ahead and just talk about it in a general sense because a lot of the hardware situations and those situations with the third party is due to the hardware. Like for instance, the reason why a lot of third parties decided to leave Nintendo for like Sony and other console manufacturers is because of what Nintendo decided to do with their hardware. Like for the Nintendo 64, they decided to stay with cartridges while Sony was doing discs, and a lot of third parties were not on board with that, and that's a big reason why a lot of third parties chose not to work with Nintendo anymore. And I think that a lot of people forget that. A lot of people assume that the reason why a lot of third parties don't want to do with Nintendo anymore is because you know how Iwata is all about lower specs, more productivity, blah 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 blah. But a lot of people have to remember that even when before Iwata, when Yamauchi was president, Nintendo was losing third party support, and I think a lot of people take that and they put it on Iwata as if it's Iwata's fault that
yeah,
there is no longer third party support. But you have to remember what happened before that is the reason why we don't, a big reason why we don't have third party support. But now a lot of people are saying that it's because of the power situation because of the Wii. And to be quite honest with you, I think that even if the Wii was HD, Nintendo will probably still struggle with third party support because even with the Nintendo 64, who was that was very easily matched spec wise with the original Xbox, they wouldn't have got any third party support because of what had happened previously, and a lot of third party developers were still kind of on the fence about dealing with Nintendo because they had been burned in the past with the Nintendo 64 and Nintendo's reluctance to let go of cartridges. And then when the GameCube came around, they had the little bitty tiny disc, and people were still saying, "Oh, well, they have this now, but they're just so weird." And it was just kind of like a gradual thing. People would just kind of stop trusting Nintendo because the things that they were doing were a lot more different than what their competitors were doing. If that makes any sense. I know
Yeah.
I kind of rambled, but I know what I'm trying to say, but I'm terrible explaining what it is that I'm exactly trying to say, but
Is young one speaking right now?
See, but
Oh wow.
see, but that's the thing I'm talking about. Like, if you look at a lot of things that these like third parties voice their concerns, and Nintendo tried to levy with their concerns, and it didn't work.
yeah,
Oh, we're worried about piracy with the PS1, the CD disc, and the fact that CD burners were starting to be mass produced at that time.
right.
Okay, well, we're gonna stick the cartridges. Didn't work. The GameCube comes along. We're still worried about piracy because they have DVD burners and blah blah blah. So we're gonna use these mini discs that aren't easily pirated.
Right.
Still didn't work. When there was the Wii U, they saw the PS3 and the 360, and they were worried about development costs. Okay, so we're going to make our console a little bit better than the last console. You can still have around the same development costs, and you can use this one. It still didn't
It
work.
still
There's
didn't work.
nothing Nintendo can do that'll change their mind outside of like dropping bags of money on these
Yeah.
people, and you would probably end up with a Gearbox situation where they would use the money on some other game, and the game that they were supposed to be working on for Nintendo would suffer.
I just think there's so many things that are just kind of working against Nintendo, and a lot of them are just intertwined. Like they all kind of work together against Nintendo. But I feel like these days, even though with the whole situation with the Wii U not being, much more powerful than current gen, which I don't know how true that is because I'm not really into specs. I don't claim to be. That's why I don't talk about it on my channel. But it's just like even if that was the case, I still feel like Iwata is at least trying. At least that's how I felt when they talked about the Wii U at what was it E3 2011 when they first talked about the Wii U, and
Yeah.
they had all of these people come on stage and pledge their support for the Wii U and talk about what they liked about it and blah 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 blah. I felt like in that time Iwata was probably trying to basically bargain with or haggle with third party developers to try to get them on board. But at the end of the day, I think that trust for Nintendo that developers had in the past are pretty much deteriorated. And I'm trying to think, what is it that Nintendo could possibly do to get these people on board? I don't know. I don't know. Like, what is it? What else is there for them to do?
it's
Become like
not. It's
Microsoft and
not. It's
Sony
not
and be a
rocket
AAA
science.
console.
What is it? You think they have to just be ultra powerful? Is that what
No,
they need
no,
to
it's
do?
it's simple. Like, because here's the thing: Iwata and Yamauchi, they both have done, pretty much the opposite of each other. Yamauchi was not necessarily hardware limitations, but basically, disk slash, cartridge size, limitations and things of that nature. With Iwata, he doesn't have those, media, storage limitations, but now it's hardware limitations. So what we need is just like a powerful system that pretty much doesn't because the thing with the Wii U is they had to take a lot of money out of the specs to use the tablet controller, things of that nature. So like really with the Wii U they could have made this powerful system that would have enticed third party developers to make games for the Wii
But
U
they
if they
chose
wanted
not
to,
to.
but they chose to go the Wii route. Since the Wii, and the DS for that matter, they focus on innovation
Right.
because the DS was actually supposed to be a lot stronger than it was, but
But
they
you
had
would
to downgrade the specs
But you
on a
would
thing
think,
base.
but you would think with the amount of developers saying that they wish that development costs were a lot lower, and then like a system like the Wii U comes at, it's still a very capable system, but not this powerhouse as most people would want it to be.
Yeah.
You would think that it would be something that developers would be on board with. I don't understand
More would be
why.
on board once they start closing down again, like they did this gen.
It's
But
like
Yeah.
think that more people would be like, okay, well, this is it's still a capable system, and then we could make games for it that don't cost that much that we could still profit from, but
yeah,
they're still
Ubisoft
not.
is actually one of those companies.
Yeah, Ubisoft
Yeah.
is on board.
Which is
Even
why they're supporting them so much.
But Ubisoft saw the benefit of it last generation. Like, they were able, like, these games that people love so much, these Assassin's Creed games, they were funded by Just Dance on the Wii.
exactly,
Like
and I think
selling
yeah, Go
Like
ahead.
Just Dance sold a shit ton of copies, and that funded some of these high definition games that these guys love so much.
Right.
Because the 7 million you niggas are buying is not enough to pay for development.
Whoop.
Exactly. I don't
Shots
know.
fired. Bang bang.
Maybe that might be a reason why Ubisoft is so on board with the Wii U because
Yeah,
Just Dance was highly popular on the Wii, so they felt like they would give back to Nintendo and Nintendo enthusiasts, these people who buy Nintendo consoles, so put their games on the systems. Because I was completely, to be completely honest, I was kind of surprised that they decided to put Watch Dogs on the Wii U.
I
Gonna get
wasn't because
that,
it was
but
Ubisoft.
I mean, even though it's Ubisoft, it's still like you never know these days. A lot of developers, pledge all this support and then it never happens. So
Yeah, but
you never know.
I believe it's simply like a matter of time because I mean we had this discussion like last year about how many studios closed down and like how much studios closed down this gen, like how many, like 150 something. That's because
150 something. Yeah.
yeah, and that's because there's all this HD development and these devs going for graphics. So I think it's just a matter of time to where they're going to learn, like they have to stop just worrying about like how many pixels and polygons they're putting on the screen and things
Yeah.
of that nature. And not to mention the further we're going, like the lower and the lower the leap is between the graphics, and we definitely see that with the PS4.
Right.
And the Unreal Engine 4. So eventually we're going to hit a wall where graphics are like completely plateauing. So
Right.
at the end of the day, it's not even gonna. It's about specs now, or whatever. But eventually, it's gonna get to the point where specs can only make so much of a difference to the point where there's not
Yeah.
gonna be a gap at all. You
I
know.
think that slowly but surely we're going to get to a point where games are all about games and not about all that fancy
Yeah.
stuff.
I think we're just in
I
a graphics
yeah.
craze.
Like I think that now that it's getting to the point where so many development studios are closing and people are starting to see that it really hurts to pay out this dang money to make games, people are going to start going back to the basics. Except for EA, because they're getting way too big for their britches. But I think that we're gonna see more of that, and I'm really hoping that if the Wii U does turn out to be successful and it does bring in some money, since it's not as, I don't think that the Wii U is gonna be the Wii of the eighth generation at all. But I don't know yet. We got to see what like Microsoft's gonna do or what exactly the PS4 is gonna do. But I think that even if it kind of fits right there, in the middle or whatever, then I don't think that it's going to be so bad for the Wii U as in regards to third party support. I think it's going to get better. I just think that right now what we're seeing is just what you see when a console is first released. Everybody's not on board right away because, it's new. And once people get their hands on it, they see what they can do, they see what other people are doing with it, then it might get a little better. That's my hope. But you never know because I mean it is Nintendo. Nintendo hasn't had major third party support since the Super Nintendo, and I mean it could really go either way. And then the fact that nobody really knows what the Wii U is or what direction Nintendo is going with the Wii U. So I don't know. It really, at the end of the day, it really just boils down to what Nintendo plans to do.
I mean, as sad as I maybe say that I agree with some of these people that hate the Wii U, but I mean, even Nintendo is still confused on what the Wii U is right now. I think they're trying to test the waters.
Go
That
ahead.
first batch of games haven't came out yet, but like you still like trying to figure out where the Wii U is trying to be. I mean, they say they wanted to be this, but it's not really doing that. But then it's not doing casual, so it's like, what is it doing?
Right, exactly. Because at least with the Wii, even though people had a lot to say about it, at least the Wii had a clear direction, like what it was for.
I
I
think
don't
it'll
know.
come into its own as like time goes on.
I mean, and even if they're trying to do it to where it's for everybody, I mean, market it as that because right now they're not marketing it for or about anybody. They're just kind of like,
They're
hey,
not
well,
marketing it at
this
all.
exactly. They're not marketing it at all. Like it's just a thing that people might see in stores. Like, hey, look at this thing. Like, what is this?
Outside of like New Super Mario Brothers U, there hasn't been really any huge Wii U games that came out.
This
When they have their big games ready, you will see that flood of promotions where they're trying to move units.
And I think it's gonna start with We Fit You.
We fit you.
Yep.
Yeah,
So I don't
We Fit
know.
was big in on
Yeah.
the Wii.
Yeah. Wii Fit was huge. I mean, it was what, the number
We
one
Fit U
selling
sold
fucking.
like 40 million.
Exactly. It was like the number one
Really,
selling
really.
bathroom
And
scale
let me
in the.
check.
You think you do? You're laughing. Go Google that shit. It was like the number one selling bathroom scale.
So I think they should still be marketing it some kind of way, even before all of these big games start coming out, because people need to at least know that it exists.
Well, what Henry says is a good point though. Like they're not going to advertise the system if they have no games to advertise it for. And I mean, we did see commercials, for Lego City.
That's true.
So that kind of is a sign that they'll advertise it if they got some games to go along with it.
I was saying the only reason why you don't see a lot of commercials for a game like Monster Hunter 3 U is the fact that it's not like when Nintendo published the Wii version of Monster Hunter Tri. And when they published the Wii version, they knew they had to make an audience in the West. So you saw them push the shit out of that game. And Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate is not getting the same push because it's Capcom doing it themselves.
Okay, what about in terms of like level of quality for the video games? Which era do you think it's best?
Please, no one say back then because I'm just gonna punch you in the face for being a nostalgia fag. I think Nintendo has been consistent with keeping their game qualities. I think they've actually been pretty consistent. They always
Yeah.
change it up and they always keep a high level of quality among each of their titles, and they
Yeah,
they and they don't make it monotone.
Well,
I'd say it's
obviously,
been the
most of
same.
you guys are gonna say that because you guys are Nintendo fans. But I mean, I can agree with that. Like that's the main reason why I'm still a Nintendo fan to this day is because I feel like they have been pretty consistent, with their level of quality. Even though I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy the ones in the past a lot better. Same reason why A Link to the Past will always be my favorite Zelda.
Because
Even
you're a nostalgia fag.
I'm not a nostalgia fag. It was just a
She
really good
just
game.
right. You gotta be a nostalgia fan to realize greatness when you
I,
play it.
I will I will say this though, the quality of the games has been the same. Which games they put out has definitely changed because starting with the Wii generation, if you've been paying attention, a lot of these games, come from Miyamoto and Iwata. These are games, that they wanted to put out, kind of like their own little personal projects that they wanted to do for their own, personal, reasoning or whatever. Like for instance, like We Fit, that's because Miyamoto was on a bathroom scale one day, and he was like, I want to make a fitness game,
I mean, but you got to think of
things of
things
that
to
nature.
make a game. You have to have something to make a game. I mean,
No, but I'm saying like regardless of how people feel or whether it be beneficial to them, Nintendo does a lot of things that come from just what they personally want to do. For instance, Anuma, he put a train in Spirit Tracks because his son asked him to
Right.
because his son likes trains. Now back
And
in the day, Nintendo put out games. They put out the games their fans were asking for. You see what I'm saying? But
yeah,
Right.
Nintendo nowadays is about what the
What they
big
want to
people at
do.
Nintendo want to do exactly.
I don't think you can say it like that because when you look at it in terms of what kind of sells, then you would think that, well, people are buying Zelda and then maybe they want to see Zelda. People are buying Mario. Metroid, okay, so. Like, I think there is a method. I think they like are skipping generations for games for reasons. I think they have like, okay, we're gonna make Mario every generation, we're gonna make Zelda every generation, but we're just gonna we're gonna put a Star Fox here, but we're gonna skip the next one and see if they miss it, then put one on the next generation, or something like that.
Or
Like the
it's a
same thing they
whisper
did with
from
Metroid.
Shay.
They skipped the N64, then they brought it back on the GameCube and in the Wii. So I mean, I think is a method to the madness, not just
Right.
exactly they're doing like being stingy and like we'll make what the hell we want. I mean, because that's what they do anyway. They're developers. You
Yeah.
really
I
pick what
think
you
a lot
want.
of
but you,
people think that they are being stingy with their games, with their IPs, because I hear a lot of people keep saying, well, where's my Star Fox? Where's my Metroid? Where's my X, Y, and Z? And I think that, the reason why we didn't see those games on the Wii is because they were waiting for a more capable system. I think that with the Wii U, we're gonna see those games that people have been asking for. I honestly believe that, and if they don't, then I'll eat my words, whatever. But I think it's gonna happen. Like, there's no reason why they wouldn't give us another like F-Zero. Like, there's no reason why, especially with Nintendo Land, them putting a mini game for F-Zero. A lot of people gonna probably think that I'm nuts for this. It's just to let us know that they haven't forgotten about F-Zero and that they're gonna give us another one with the Wii U.
it's not gonna happen.
You don't think so?
It's not gonna happen. You can wish all you want to. F Zero's dead and gone.
Henry
It's
troll.
not gonna happen. Like, oh no, no, I'm not
Oh, it
trolling.
must be in the same
I'm not trolling.
realm as Earthbound.
But
Exactly. Exactly. That's my point exactly. How many Smash Brothers games have you played with Lucas or Ness or
All
some
up.
other exactly. You've not seen a new Earthbound, you will not see a
Who's Lucas and
new
this?
exactly. You will not see a new F Zero dead and gone. Plain and simple.
And why
says the Earthbound fan.
why do you think
Yep,
that?
says the Earthbound fan. Because I know your pain. I'm trying to get y'all in the realm of thinking to know that this game is not coming back. Stop
Except it
waiting
is.
for it. You can want it all you want
Yeah,
to.
Iwata said it's coming back himself, exposed.
Where he said
No.
where did Iwata say this at?
Well, he didn't say it's coming back, but he said now we have a
Okay
reason to
then.
make
Okay
one.
then. You got
You
exposed.
know what that means?
What?
It means they're going to make one.
Right.
You know, because he said the only reason why they didn't make it on Wii is because they didn't have a reason. So now that they have a reason, put two and two
Yeah.
together.
And let's not remember the reason why Earthbound isn't gonna be made again or is it coming back because of all of the references that it took to make that game. They don't want to recreate that and in fear of being sued or something for copyright.
No, it's the music. You heard.
Okay, well either way there's a reason. Like there's no particular reason why they can't bring back Star Fox or F Zero.
I mean, I'm not talking about bringing back old Earthbound games. I'm talking about making a new one. You don't have to use the old music, but it's just not going to happen. And that's my opinion. Nobody's going to change that.
As long as I get my Metroid, I don't care.
That is,
Like if they don't give me a new Metroid, I will no longer be a Nintendo fan. I will like just surrender all of my Nintendo consoles and just be like a Sony fag or
It's a
something.
surrender your
Sonyism.
Nintendo consoles, break up with Shokyo.
Heck yeah, I would have to break up with Shokio too.
No, if they don't give my Metroid, I'm gonna do the same things.
What is Nintendo doing right or wrong with the Wii U, given Iwata's business practices, and what direction do we foresee Nintendo taking with the Wii U?
No, I think we already touched on it right now. We're not sure right now.
I don't think
No,
any.
But
I got an idea.
Talking about
okay, go
business
ahead.
decisions.
It's the same thing I think they did with the 3DS. It worked out perfectly. Come out at a price point where you can make something close to a profit, and the hardcore Nintendo fans will buy it. Wait until your competitors announce their console prices. They try to get close. You drop the price by 100 to 200 bucks, and then they're staring at a console that's cheaper and easily accessible, and they can't help themselves. Like there's nothing they can do. Look at the Vita. The Vita should not have been $250, and both Sony and Nintendo know that. So when the Vita was announced, it was like, okay, the 3DS is so close to what we wanted to sell, but let's drop it by what, $80?
Right.
Let's
70, I
drop it
think.
by,
Well,
yeah.
that was a completely different situation though, because a lot of people felt like the 3DS was overpriced with the Wii U. I feel like the Wii U is at a good price point. I don't think that there's any reason why it should be given a price point, especially so early in its lifespan. I think that 350, what's the basic 300?
Yeah,
300,
300.
350 is a
I
really good price
I don't
point.
think I'm not talking about. They're not gonna drop it like the 3DS like within 6 months. Well, I'm saying like by the end of this year, you will see a price drop. You will see
But
a
didn't they
price
already say
drop.
they weren't dropping the price for a
I
few
They
years
thought
said,
to come?
they saw I thought they
okay,
did say
Of course they say that.
you
So
will see a
Microsoft and
price
Sony
drop.
don't suspect it.
You will see a price drop by the end of this year.
If they
You
were
will
smart, they would do a price drop alongside, like,
a
Mario
bundle.
Kart and 3D Mario with a
what,
price
Okay,
drop.
my
Like
point exactly.
but
that
how
would
My
much could
yeah.
they possibly drop the price? I mean, goodness.
fifth $50 is like
The,
that can make a huge difference.
the thing
50
is, like, even if they're not making a profit with the $50 price cut, like they would make that up with the software sales for Mario Kart.
exactly.
That's
Like
so true.
how long was the old Wii at $250?
Or maybe they could do like a temporary price cut when
No,
like a big game
permanent.
comes out.
Nope, permanent. 250, 250 for the basic. 300 for the black one with a game. Or you know what? Put the basic up there. White Wii U, $250 with a game, and it would cause trouble, especially if like a new Wii Sports, a Mario Kart, the next Mario Kart game, or the next 3D Mario game. It would cause trouble for the other consoles. And anybody that can't like anybody that looks and be like, oh well, no, it wouldn't cause trouble. They're fucking stupid.
No, you're right. It would because a lot of people will buy a console just to buy like Mario Kart.
Yep, and the fact that it's cheap.
So, what
Look
do
at
you guys think that like Nintendo's doing like wrong or what they're doing right though? Like, what are like? I know they've made a lot of lame or what I would say were lame decisions with the Wii U.
what they're doing wrong is depending on third parties when they shouldn't.
I
At
think that they are
at
being a little bit too generous to
the
third parties trying to give them a chance to do something and they're not doing anything.
at the beginning of the 3DS life cycle, at the beginning of the Wii U life cycle, they tried to give these third parties a window where they could get out there and market their games and sell their games, and they're not using that time. So when Nintendo comes in and saves their own console like they always do, then they're gonna sit there, oh, Nintendo games are the only ones that sell,
Right.
and it's not true.
Like with the 3DS, they gave third parties an
A
opportunity to
huge
just
window.
wreck. Yeah, they gave them a chance to just wreck shop with the 3DS, and nobody showed up. But it's like, why would they do the same thing for the Wii U? They should have known not to trust that, because obviously, like a lot of people either pulled support or they just didn't show up at all. I don't know, but I think a lot of things that Nintendo did wrong with the Wii U are things that they could have fixed themselves.
They will fix themselves. Like the way what they did early this year is they consolidated their console and handheld hardware divisions. They also consolidated their software divisions where they made them closer together. I believe you're going to start seeing a lot more software come out of Nintendo's first party at a more regular pace than you did in the past.
I totally forgot about that. They did do that, didn't they? And
It
they've been
sure is
hiring a
coming
lot
out
of
slow
people.
now.
I know they're coming out slow as heck now, but hopefully that changes. But you know what? The 3DS is doing really, really well right now. So hopefully, if they're learning anything from the 3DS, then they'll be all right. Cause I remember like the 3DS was just like a freaking like desert, and now there's so much stuff and
It
like
was.
heck yeah. And I go to the eShop and it's like, oh my goodness, there's so many awesome games on the eShop, and they're putting a lot of retail games on there too.
And that was all because Nintendo knew they had to save that handheld themselves.
But they shouldn't have to, they shouldn't have to get to a point where they're in a dire situation to save their console. They should be
Yeah.
doing that from like jump.
I understand that, but I mean, they know for a fact. Oh, we were like, if the 3DS right now was in the Vita's position, not th- well, the Vita is in a fucked up position, but if the 3DS was in the Vita's position right now, they like Nintendo already know October Pokemon comes out. That's easily another 10 million sold. Easily
Right.
another, easily another 10 million consoles sold. I mean, they sold what Black and White. The first Black and White sold 2 million in 24 hours in
Right.
America alone. So yeah, they're gonna they were gonna sell those consoles, and like I think you will see the Wii U in the same position that the 3DS is in right now. You will see the Wii U in that position next year.
Well, I mean,
Right.
the problem with the Wii U is though, like, yeah, at launch, it's still going to sell regardless of the games because of the hardcore fan base. But the difference with the Wii U was is that they promised, that we were going to have, Pikmin and, Wonderful 101, in the launch window, and we don't have those games. And like Emily Rogers pointed out, she said that Iwata was like, we learned our lesson with the 3DS, and yeah, we're here with the Wii U, and it's the almost.
Almost
I
the
mean,
same.
The Wii is a little better, yeah, but it's almost the exact same, situation. So it's not the fact that it's not selling as well as it should or whatever things like that nature. It's just the fact that Iwata pretty much didn't come up on his promise.
Okay, I plan on doing this YouTube thing for a while. So I will put my channel or anything I could on the line to say that the next console generation or the next thing they release, which is like a console or something, it will not have the same problem as the Wii U or the 3DS.
So you just lie.
No, I'm not lying.
I think that Nintendo is just finding themselves in a very different situation these days because they did something completely different than they had previously with the Wii. And I think that in a way they're kind of sort of trying to reinvent themselves and their brand, if that makes any sense
My
at all.
bride.
So
Yeah.
like they're just kind of trying to, while reinventing themselves, they're still trying to stay true to themselves while at the same time trying to do what's going to be profitable and try not to piss off consumers too much, even though they're doing that anyway. But they're just in a very like odd position right now. Because the Wii was a very peculiar situation because they completely just like went balls to the wall and just took a risk with the Wii, and it just so happened to work. And so now with the Wii U, I feel like they're trying to recreate the success that they had with the Wii while at the same time trying to bring some of that they had in the past with making the Wii U a quote unquote hardcore experience and bring back some of the things that the people loved about like the GameCube and the consoles that came before it. I mean, it's hard trying to please everybody. And I think that that's what Nintendo is trying to do. They're trying to please everybody.
They're gonna learn the hard way. I mean, everybody gets knocked on their ass. And they gotta fix themselves.
But like, what do you guys think that they're gonna eventually do with it, or how do you guys eventually see it panning out in the market?
Well, personally, I'm not too sure yet, but I think, well, I guess Star Chase isn't here, but I guess I can steal his idea. What he said that he thinks the Wii U is going to be like the GameCube, a bunch of gems that is going to sell pretty average and is going to have a bunch of gems on it, unlike the Wii that sold brilliantly but didn't have that many gems on it.
I honestly don't know either, to be honest with you. Cause like I said earlier today, it's like they don't even know what they want to do with it yet. So I can't even estimate what they're gonna do because they haven't really given it a definite theme, or they're not really marketing it to a particular group as of yet. I know like at E3 they said that they wanted to make it, personal to where it's an experience for the individual, but at the same time it's like, okay, it's supposed to be all about you, like how Reggie said that lame, definition of what the U is supposed to stand for. But at the same time, I feel like it's still trying to mimic the Wii, where you could have multiple players in this whole asymmetric gameplay. So it's like, okay, so who is it for? Is it still for everybody like the Wii was, or is it specific to
I
a
don't I
person?
don't think I don't think they had a plan. I think they just made the tab controller, thought it was cool, and just threw it out there.
That's what it looks like.
And,
Like I
and I
don't
mean
really
it
think.
works, but it's like it doesn't seem like they had any long term goals. Not that that's a problem though, because like everybody knows and can agree. At the end of the day, it's all about the games. We know Nintendo's gonna
Exactly.
have those, but as far as I see, like the Wii in the future, I'm expecting it to sell like maybe like 50 million, 50 million, 60 million,
I don't know
like
about
maybe
sales.
70 million, like at the most, like 50 million at the least. I'm expecting. So it's gonna be the GameCube, but not in the sense that it's going to sell like 20 million like the GameCube did, because that's just crazy low. And video games are much more popular,
Exactly.
today.
Oh well, I don't mean like
Yeah.
that number exactly.
Yeah.
I was just saying,
But like
relative.
comparative to the Wii, yeah, it's definitely not going to sell as much. But I think the gaming library for the Wii U is going to be much more satisfying than the Wii was for the hardcore Nintendo gamer.
Of course.
Of
Does
course.
anybody else have anything? I'm just saying, of course. Like it has no reason why like it wouldn't have a better library than the Wii.
Well, I mean, they could just decide to, like skip games, not give certain games we want, things of that nature.
That would just really tick me off.
Well, I mean, you said it. You said it best yourself. There was a lot of games that they wanted to make that they couldn't make because they didn't have the. They didn't think the Wii itself was a big enough jump from the GameCube. I mean, which it wasn't, but they didn't think the Wii itself was a big enough jump from the GameCube to warrant another F Zero when it wasn't going to look drastically different.
But at the same time, that's just F-Zero, though. I remember Miyamoto in the interview had said like a long time ago, he was like, "Oh yeah, I would love to make a Star Fox or Wii U," and like he never got around to it. And my reasoning that I think, well, behind that was that they felt that Star Fox wouldn't really have sold on the Wii. Like that's honestly why I think they skipped Star Fox on the Wii. And again, that kind of ties in with what I was saying earlier. A lot of the decisions they make today is just, what they personally want. The CEOs and big name people themselves. When a lot of gamers wanted Star Fox, but I just think Nintendo didn't really see the profit in making the Star Fox game, so they didn't. That's how I feel.
Now, I'm
Because
trying to figure out how in the world
there's no
Star Fox would have
excuse.
worked for the Wii. Like I'm
You would
trying
have
to
aimed with the
imagine.
IR pointer, like it would have been perfect.
No, it wasn't.
And like that's the thing, Miyamoto said that himself. He was like, I could imagine, flying the ship, with, with the IR pointer, and that'd be really cool. But he never made the game because,
I can
like I
imagine
said,
it,
the
but I would
sales.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
You don't think that would work?
No,
I'm trying to figure out how it worked. I don't. I just don't think that
I
it
don't
was
think.
something that I
I
would
think it was
particularly
something that
care.
he like in his imagination it would work, but once he like once he sat down and put the shit on paper, he was like, okay, this is fucking stupid.
I can foresee that being the case.
Like he like in his imagination, he's like, yeah, just a point with that controller, it'd be so awesome. But then you think about it, like all this shit that you have to do when you fly that ship, you have to move the ship around. I know you got the nunchuck, but no, I don't think it would have worked. I
I
think
think it
Star
would have.
Fox, I think Star Fox would be a perfect fit for the Wii U.
Yeah, it would be a perfect fit for the Wii U.
Everything be a perfect fit for the Wii U. Like this is the console like where Nintendo needs to put like all their franchises on, and I think that's an identity they could have for their system. Like it'll be like the next N64, because a lot of people were burned from the GameCube, whatever, because the Star Fox games didn't turn out how they wanted them. There was no 1080p snowboarding and wave race, things of that nature. No, no Punch Out. But like with the Wii U, I think they could turn the Wii U into like every Nintendo fan's, like favorite console because it has all your favorite Nintendo games. You see what I'm saying?
of
I think
all
that's one thing they could do.
of all your favorite games.
Exactly.
Before we close, is there anything that anybody would like to add?
If any one of you niggas don't like Earthbound, fuck y'all. Go eat a dick. You don't know what real gaming is, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Wow. All right. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. This conversation is a lot less tamed compared to most of the conversations that we usually have on Skype. I mean, a lot more tame is what I meant to say. It's a lot
Oh,
more
okay, then
tame.
you're true now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, we go in on everybody. If you don't believe we go in on a lot of people, there's a 5 hour Monster Hunter session that me and
A
Tokyo did.
5-hour Monster Hunter
Yes,
session on
if you
Shokyo
if
Zone. You guys should go check it out. Watch
yeah,
every
because
last segment, each, what was it, 22
22.
pieces of
we
that video.
we called out everybody. I'm not even gonna lie about that. We talked about everybody. Me mostly because I don't give a fuck what the niggas gonna do. Get mad?
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Shout outs to Fragmented Gaming,
What's up?
Nintendo Ultra,
Didn't say anything.
773,
What up, yo?
PW Sachs 2011,
It's good.
and Shokyo. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
When
Ciao.
I get paid for this shit?
It, you don't get paid.